Hey guys, this is the second episode of this Python beginner series. Now let's get started.
Now, in the last episode, we learned how to we learned how to find the greater than between two numbers, or we learned decision making or the selection statements. Now, within this video, we're going to learn about inputting data from the user rather than we writing here what the variables are. We take the variables from the user or from me who's trying to use the program, as well as we'll be learning about for loops. And if we can cover anything more, we will try to. But this is the two goals for me to teach you guys in this video. So first, we're gonna teach you guys input statements. So an input statement is a way of entering or getting data. So the way we input statements in Python is using the key term or the function input. Okay, this is how. And we have a prompt. A prompt is basically almost like a print statement for an input, because generally when you're asking inputs from someone, you want to know what is that input. What do I want to enter? Do I want to enter a number? What do I want to enter? So it's sort of like a print statement that shows you gives you some direction of what you have to enter in. So I could be like, enter the first number, short form manual. So what happens is this Python input statement or this input function, anything that comes within parentheses or within brackets is known as a function. This is good for you to know. I might be using this throughout the series. So this input function or this input statement basically takes the data from the user and actually stores it in a data type known as a string, which we learned in the last episode. A string is basically a group of text or number, but it's mainly it's not meant for calculations. So we have also another function known as int or integer. So this basically converts any data type into a number or an integer. So for calculations, we require to use integers or numbers. So we basically take this entire thing, we put it under another brackets, and we type int or integer. So basically, first we input it, and it takes in a string, and then we convert that string into an integer. Hopefully, you can understand what I'm trying to say. So I'll show you an example of it. Once I run this code first, now second number. Okay, so we will run this code. Okay, so enter the first number. If I enter 5, and if I enter 10, clearly 5 is smaller than 10, or 10 is greater than 5. So yeah, y is greater than x. Okay, so here we don't know what x or y is. So over here we're going to learn a little bit of string manipulation. So we are saying known as an f string. Okay, it's a way of formatting a string or adding a variable into a string. This is the easiest way to enter a variable into a string, by my opinion. There are other methods like you've learned in the last series, where if you add two strings together, it combines to each other. I'll show you an example of that again if needed. So an f string basically allows you to take a variable into a string. Now it's denoted by writing an f at the starting of the string quotations. So we use two curly braces, and we put the variable what we want into the curly braces. So now we say that x, which is our the value x, which is 5 in our previous case, but can change depending on what the user inputs, is greater than y, which is our second variable. And then we have y is greater than x. This is just a bit of string manipulation I'm teaching you on the way, because it's necessary, because I might be using this in the series. I might make another video to cover up all string manipulation or ways to use strings later on in the series. So enter the first number, 3, 2, 3 is greater than 2. Let's see, it will mention 3 is greater than 2. Replaces wherever x is seen within the curly braces with the actual value we've entered in. So this is inputs, and this is the basis of how to take information from a user currently. So now another important key idea within programming is iteration. And iteration is basically means looping, and looping is basically repeating a set of code multiple number of times. So right now we're using two variables x and y, and imagine we want to find the greatest number out of all the numbers. Okay, imagine we want to find the sum of set of numbers. The previous code I was talking about might be a little confusing. So the most simplest idea would be to add 10 numbers, which is given by the user. Okay, so we use something known as a for loop. Okay, I'll just erase everything and start from the beginning from scratch, so that it's I have a blank slate. So for a for loop is defined or is written by stating for I is something known as a counter. I'll give you an example of what a counter is and how it works a little bit, if I can explain it to you guys. A counter is basically a number that shows where in the loop you are. Okay, now this is the number when we have in range. Now range is the number of times you want to repeat the set of code. Okay, so this would be a number of the number of times you want this code to repeat. So I would say 10 times. We're trying to add 10 numbers. Okay, now over here, after every for loop or if statement or anything that has code within it, like anything that's inside or a part of it, it shows which code needs to be looped or iterated. So, or which statements are being run when an if statement goes on. So we have something known as a tab that denotes for us is it part of the statement or the loop, or if it's not. So currently here we would take an input of number. A number should be int of input, and we would input enter the number, enter the number. Okay, so after this we're gonna be like the number is equal to the number. Okay, no, it's sum. Sorry, so we're gonna create a new variable as sum. So sum is equal to the number, the sum plus the number, or the number plus the sum, either or. Okay, the number. Okay, so now sum is a reserved word in Python. If you can see, it's being put in yellow in my ID. If so, will it be in the Python idle if you're using that? So it's better to use another word. So I'll use the word sums, which is made up word, but yeah. And so if you notice in this loop, if you see, sums does not have a previous value. Okay, the first time the loop is going to go through, it's going to be like enter a number. Okay, I'll show you an example of why this code wouldn't work. Okay, so if I enter a number, say b4, error, sums is not defined. That's because we're trying to add a number to sums, but there's no value of sums before this. So on top you have to state that sums is equal to some value, and that's most likely going to be 0, because when you're adding numbers, 0 doesn't really have a value. If you add a minus 0, it won't change the number. So 0, and this will repeat 10 times and will add sums to number. An easier way to write the statement in Python is if you want to add anything to itself, or if you want to do an operator to itself, you write the operator before the equal to sign. So if you want to do sums equals to sums plus number, you would do sums plus equals to number. So it's sums plus sums equals to sums plus number, or you could do minus equal to, which would basically minus number every time from sums. So for this situation, you want to add numbers, or you want to add 10 numbers which are inputted, so we're going to use sums is plus equals to number, and we want to print this out to show us that okay, this is the sums. So we could use f string again, which I taught you in this video. The sum of the numbers above sorry, I'm wrong line above is curly braces sums. Okay, sorry, so we do enter the number. So it's gonna ask us 10 times, so I'm just gonna write any random numbers. Or we could do 5 all the time. It'll be easier. 5 into 10 is 50, so it should give us 50. Yeah, we could run it again, give a random set of numbers. It can be any sorry, give you, yeah, so 194. I'm not gonna validate that because it's gonna take too much time, but yeah, so that's the gist of how iteration works. It loops, or it repeats a set of code every single time. So we're going to now I want to give you a project or a homework sort of thing. It's going to be a problem that I'm going to give you to try on your own to see whether you understand how to do this. And I would like you to write a program that would tell you that would basically add up, will take an input from a user maybe 10 or 20 times and try to take a number. It should be within a certain range. You could choose the range you want to, and it should print out the average of all the numbers inputted, and it should print out an error every time the person doesn't enter a value within that range. Or you could do something like a BMI. You could try to calculate BMI, which is a very simple example or easy program to do with the knowledge you have learned till now. So I would like to give this project to you and to see whether you can try this out for yourself. So I think this is the gist of this video. I think in the next video, I might cover a bit of string manipulation and a little bit more of something else. I have to think about that. So thank you for listening for this long in this video. I'm not that really amazing at explaining stuff. I'm trying to get started with this, and hopefully you'll learn something new by watching my videos. And comment below of what you think about my videos, as I would like to get some feedback on how I'm doing, because it's something new to me. So thank you for watching, and click the like button down below, and subscribe to my channel if you think this is interesting.